Okay, welcome back, and now let's move ahead. Boy, we've made a mess here, haven't we? Here's some keyboard shortcuts for you. On the Mac, it is Command Z will take away the last thing you did. Command Z will also put back the last thing you did. Kind of confusing. So, of course, that's Control Z on the PC. Control Z, basically Control Z, Command Z. It will toggle on and off the last thing you did, just like this. I'm just hitting Control Z and Command Z here, and you can see that thing way at the bottom of the screen there, just toggling it on and off. Okay. Now, if you'd like to step backwards in time, we can do that together. Mac side, Command Option Z. I'll hit it again, Command Option Z. Obviously, if you look at that stripe down there, you can see which keys I'm holding. So I'm just holding down Command Option. I'm hitting Z, 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 and I'm stepping back in time. Now, at some point, I can't go back any further because by default, Photoshop, hopefully that recorded. Photoshop only has 20 levels of history, meaning undo, by default. So when you first start Photoshop, it should only have 20 levels of history. You can reset that to some crazy number, perhaps like 1,000, but just keep in mind, anytime you tell Photoshop to track your history and make it so that you can get rid of it, it's going to make your computer and Photoshop dog slow, obnoxiously slow. And here's my thing. If you follow the methods that I teach you, which is a process called working non-destructively, if you work non-destructively, you probably won't need more than 20 levels of history. I haven't needed more than 20 levels of history in 10 years or more. So just don't sweat that. But we still got a mess here. So obviously we've gone beyond our 20 level limit here. And there's another way around this. So follow my cursor here, and going to go to the File menu and go down to this guy. Get to know and love revert. This will go back to the last saved version of the document you had. So I'll hit this. By the way, F keys don't work particularly well on the Mac, but on PC it probably will work fine. But of course, knowing the menu item will work here too. So hit revert, and it takes me back to the last saved version. And that's what I've got. So actually I'm going to change my brush back to just the plain old vanilla circular brush, just because that grungy brush that we used earlier just kind of annoying. Okay, so let's talk about the color picker. Now that the colors are over here. Now of course now they're black and white, which really aren't technically speaking colors, they're values. But we've got two things here. Now if I put my cursor over the black one, it says, well, it should say, work? There we go. Set foreground color, which means this is the foreground color chip. Okay. If I put my cursor over this white one, it should say set background color, which means this is the background color chip. They both work the same. They just have different functions, which you'll see later on as we move along in the quarter. Okay. But we mostly play with, I'd say 95% of the time we play with the foreground color chip. So if you click on that, vanilla click. Okay. So it brings up the color picker, and this is really simple. Now there's lots of crazy numbers over here, and there's lots of things you can do with this, but I'm going to make your life really easy. And that is, because everybody wants to dive into this big window here, and that's the wrong method. Generally speaking, you want to pick a color first. So let's say that we want to go with something green. Okay, so we've got a lot of ranges of green. Okay, so this is our hue, H-U-E. Get to know it and love it, H-U-E, hue. Okay? And then over here, we're going to set our saturation and brightness. Okay, and all that means is, in fact, here's another word that I want you to get familiar with. Whenever you see the word, in fact, the values here, H, hue, S, saturation, B, brightness. Okay, so when you think of the word saturation, I want you to think of the word intensity. Okay, so for instance, if I click right in here, that's kind of a middle green, right? So here's the old color we came in with, which was black. Here's the new color we could be going out with in just a moment. Okay. Now, if I drag this, you don't have to drag it. You can just click it. Either one works. Okay. But notice, that middle green is sort of middly green. But if I bring it over here, it's much more saturated. You can really see this at the top. It's way saturated. It's very intense. That's the key word, intensity. Okay. You bring it towards the middle, it's kind of so-so. When you bring it towards the left side, Now I'm not going to go all the way because it'll become completely white there. But look how weak this color is. It's a much weaker green. It's not as intense. Okay? So going left and right, that is setting up your intensity. Moving up and down sets the lightness and darkness, which means the B, brightness, right over here. Okay? So set up the hue, set up the left to right saturation, and then up and down is your brightness. Okay? I think we're going to stop here and then do another movie. So I'll click that OK. Now there's my color over there. And if I click on my screen, there's my color with my brush. Pretty cool, right? All right, see you in the next movie.